It seems that if we could change our mindset about that, that if we could understand in our brains we have quantum structures that we haven't even activated yet, the solution of giving it to AI is not the one. This way of deferring the complexity and the tech debt is also shown up in companies, and I believe we might be seeing it as what's been called the Great Resignation, when 4.5 million people resigned their job in 1 week, and the next week another 4.5 million resigned again. It seems to me that the pressure we've been talking about, the ever increasing pressure in those layers of culture we were talking about, are meeting this ever increasing pressure created by the acceleration of tech debt and deferred complexity and different complexities. And that companies, even perhaps working to increase their effectiveness and efficiency, maybe even in relation to this ever accelerating change, had us move to a place where we had fewer and fewer people doing more and more work, which led to this great resignation. So it seems to me that this debt is actually even showing up in the workplace, that there has been a human response to living these potential earthquakes that you pointed to, and the kind of deferred complexity that we might be dealing with, and not understanding that we live in this organic world first, and that we must take care of our organic world and our bodies, and that before long we'll run out of any further debt to acquire because we've already just run out of the resource. It seems to me that humanity is answering that as well with walkouts, essentially during the Great Resignation. Anything you see to open that up a bit more for us?
Well, we could say that those people that, for one reason or another, didn't either feel they could walk out, whether it's because of inflation or whatever, has created what we're recently calling quiet quitting.
Yes.
Where it's kind of a passive resistance to what we thought of as the agreement between the employed and the employer.
Yeah.
That idea that I'm bartering my life force for this agreement we have, let's say, then that creates a kind of passive aggressive sabotage of what could be a momentum, engaged workforce. So then presence to how people actually want to invest their life force, how they're looking for a sense of autonomy and mastery and being able to serve and care. Then we could say, then what would be the process the practice that would support that movement to autonomy and mastery and caring? Then we could be present to where we have this thing called coping and thriving.
Yep.
Where that sense of a lack of that ability of mastery and autonomy, that a sense of frustration could lead to a way of resistance that has us in the category we call coping. And if we could move to the inspiration of possibility, we might move from coping to thriving.
It seems to me that for us to take that on, we'd have to understand we live in an organic world, and that there's a new orientation, a new state and structure of mind that we would need, perhaps even some new metrics, new commitments to people are needing to be whole people living a whole life, and they want to make a contribution, and perhaps making a ton of money is a little thing to sacrifice so that we could all have enough prosperity and abundance. But it seems like we need places now to look for what is that, because I know that people have been pushing into that territory. So how might we look at whole person, whole life, and how do we bring that forward a whole lot more? And it's beginning to, and we need to do it a whole lot more. Where might we need to look, or what do we need to look at as we navigate for thriving, regardless of the event or the situation or the happenings in our life?
We might find a sort of early clue to what the Heart Math Institute is called heart rate variability. And they have a way of measuring your heart rate variability that would be measuring the measure of your resiliency or adaptability to then measuring your heart mind body systems, degree of flexibility, and there's a
Yeah.
measure of that. So then as your presence to the degree to which you're coping or thriving, that would show up in their measurement. And they could measure then physically, emotionally, mentally how you're present to what's going on in your life. So then if you're in the coping category, it might then showing up on that measurement. You might say, I need to add more exercise, or need to eat better, or sleep more, or sleep better.
Mm-hmm.
And the need for that would show up immediately in that measurement of heart rate variability. Then, and along with what you're talking about for that whole life, we might say, then what would be an additional measurement of that? How do we level that up? And then we could say that the possibility of the simultaneous presence of increased excellence in our life, that whole life thing we're talking about, might be called life rate variability.
Yeah.
So then we have a measurement then that's measuring the physical heart, mind, body system and its response to stress and our relationship with coping. Then what would it mean to thrive in all the categories of our life and what we're called to? Which then might be a sort of antidote to the sense of resignation or rebellion that we might see that led to the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And we might say that place where if we had been using heart rate variability measurements, we might have said, this situation I'm in is affecting my health, and it is affecting it in a negative way. So now I'm resigned, or I'm going to rebel, or I'm going to walk out, or I'm going to quiet quit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said, then if we are present to this other measurement, then what would the possible uplift be then in this new world we find ourselves? That would be a whole life measured in life rate variability. What would that be? And how do we get present consistently to that uplift?
We are the HuPerson Project. This is the WYRK work to be done. Come join us. Let's have a conversation.